On a cold, dark night, Alyssa was working late at the office. It was already midnight when she finally finished her work. As she was leaving her office, she realized the streets were now empty. She was all alone. While she was walking back home, she heard some footsteps behind her. She turned around to look, but no one was there. So she continued walking, but she could still hear footsteps behind her. Alyssa is really scared now, and she started to run, but the footsteps behind her got louder and faster. Someone was chasing her. As she was running, she saw a cemetery. She quickly ran into the cemetery and hid there. When Alyssa was hiding, the footsteps stopped. Maybe she lost him. Just then, Alyssa remembered there's a 24-hour convenience store nearby. She can go there for help. She quickly ran to the store. She went inside and begged the man for help. But the man said to her,
in this video, we'll look at the past continuous. You may also know this as the past progressive. We use the past continuous to talk about an action in progress in the past. Let's examine this using a timeline with the example, someone was chasing her. Someone started chasing her sometime in the past, but we don't know when. And that person stopped chasing her sometime in the past. Again, we don't know when. But we are talking about the whole period from start to finish. We can also use the past continuous for background events. For example, on a cold, dark night, Alyssa was working late at the office. This sentence sets the background and the setting of the story. We use the past simple for completed actions or repeated actions. For example, she quickly ran into the cemetery. This action is finished and completed. When we use two past simple actions, the second action happened after the first action. For example, she quickly ran into the cemetery and hid there. So she ran into the cemetery first, then she hid inside the cemetery. We can also combine the past continuous with the past simple. The past continuous refers to a longer background action or situation. The past simple refers to a shorter action. The shorter action happened while the longer action was still happening. But sometimes these two actions happen at the same time. For example, as she was leaving her office, she realized the streets were now empty. In this sentence, Alyssa leaving her office is the longer action, and her realizing that the streets were now empty is the shorter action. So Alyssa was leaving her office, and during this time, she noticed that the streets were now empty. But she didn't stop leaving the office when she noticed this. Sometimes the shorter action interrupted the longer action. While she was walking back home, she heard some footsteps behind her. She turned around to look. Alyssa walking back home is the longer action. Hearing the footsteps is the shorter action. In this case, the footsteps interrupted her walking and made her stop to look back before she continued walking again. We can use two past continuous actions in the same sentence to show that both actions were happening at the same time. For example, I was walking home and someone was following me. We don't know which action started first. Maybe the mysterious stalker started following Alyssa before she even left the office. Or maybe he started following her sometime after she left the office. We also don't know which one finished first. Maybe the stalker stopped following her after she arrived home, or maybe sometime before she arrived home. We just know that during a certain period in the past, these two actions were happening at the same time. We can also use 3, 4, 5, or even more past continuous actions in the same sentence, and all these actions were happening at the same time, sometime in the past. Let's look at the form now. The form for statements is subject plus was or wasn't and weren't for negatives, plus verb in the ing form. For example, Alyssa was working late at the office. The form for yes/no questions is was or were plus subject plus verb in the ing form. Was Alyssa working late? For open questions, it's WH how question word plus was or were plus subject plus verb in the ing form. Why was Alyssa working late? To join past continuous and past simple actions, we use conjunctions such as while, when, and as. For example, while she was walking home, she heard some footsteps behind her. When Alyssa was hiding, the footsteps stopped. As she was running, she saw a cemetery. We can also switch the order of the tenses by placing the past simple at the front of the sentence. She heard some footsteps behind her while she was walking back home. Let's look at another example now. Alyssa was at home watching TV when her phone rang. Which action started first? Alyssa watching TV or her phone ringing? Watching TV started first. Do we know when Alyssa started watching TV or when she stopped? No, we don't. Did the phone call interrupt Alyssa watching TV? Yes, it did. Did she continue watching TV after the phone call? Usually we assume she continued watching TV, but it can also be true that she stopped watching TV after the phone call. It all depends on the situation. If you've enjoyed our video, please visit our website at umonzu.com for more videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button and like, comment and share our videos. And make sure you tell your friends and colleagues about Umonzu.